Welcome to the 6-week or week 6 editing class. This is where we're going to look at the homework of the past 2 weeks in this case, where we had 2 assignments and I'm going to come up with some suggested edits for them. Okay, so the 2 assignments were eggs, and you pretty much had free range to do whatever you wanted on those, and also there was the idea of the flat lay or lay flat images. So what I'm going to do here is first of all go and look at Joe's images. So Joe has submitted these. I love this first one. This one is called Eccentric. I think this works really well as an idea. I like the combination of something real and the drawing around it is very clever as well. And what I think when we positioned this on this, showed this on the screen, this area here wasn't quite so dark, and these weren't so well lit up. But this is one of the problems of taking photographs with glass, is that you're going to end up with shadows or lighter areas because it reflects so easily. So what I'm going to suggest here, and I know that Joe has edited these with Picasa because it's actually retained the Picasa editing information. So if we increase the only thing I think I would do here is increase the fill light quite a lot in this particular case. Excuse me. And what we see here now is the image is a lot brighter, a lot jumps out a lot more towards us. Okay, I do really like this image, really do. The next one is called Fish Eggs. A number of things that I love about this. The background, starting with the background. If you can't get a background completely flat, sometimes just ruffling it like this can make a big difference, but it depends on the style that you're trying to achieve. I like these branches and leaves that are going on underneath that really break up the image, as well as the fish bowl, the fish casserole bowl that we have. Now the title of this is Fish Eggs. I'm not quite sure what the purpose was behind the smiley face on this particular egg, but the idea was fish eggs as in fish roe and caviar. So I think this is a really good image. There's nothing really much that needs to be done to this. Even just adding a little bit of fill light might work, but it's so minor that it's pretty close to being there. This lay flat image or flat lay image works really well. There's a huge story going on here about gardening. I think that the fill light isn't quite there. Now it looks like some fill light has already been added by Joe. The story is really complete here. So if we add some fill light, we can really start to make the image pop a little bit more. We can see more of the plant detail now. I think this really stands out. One of the things that you can do, well, one of the things I suggested was maybe cropping it slightly here, just to get rid of this, because there is so much going on here and there is so much story that doing a crop here might help it. So, and I know that Joe has cropped this before because it's telling me that it will recrop. So it's holding all the JPEG file that she's created in this case, is holding all the information. So we click on recrop, we actually see the original image, all of the original image. So what we can actually, one of the things we could do here pull this, if we move this to manual crop, we move this edge across. I actually wonder if this might be a better crop. Yep, it's there, it's there. And that's up slightly to there. Maybe a little bit too tight by cropping off the fingers. So if we undo that crop and recrop it again, sometimes you've got to do this a couple of times to get it right. So pull this across again. White keeps returning to that level. I like the idea of having the corner of the book here anchoring the image. Sure, white keeps popping back in. So that. This is frustrating me, and I don't understand why it's doing it. It seems to be pulling it back. I don't know. Sometimes computers can be so frustrating. Maybe about there. Yeah, I think that could work quite nicely. I would have liked to have got the corner of the book in the top right hand corner there, but it's just not working for me. I'm not quite sure why Joe's cut out most of this, because I think this works quite nicely as an image, although we now have an issue with the space here that didn't seem to be there before. But I think you can see where I'm coming from with this particular edit. So those are Joe's images. Really great set of images. Moving on to Joyce's. This was le eggs, as in legs. Very clever, very clever. And the whole nature of this is just fantastic. I think it works so strongly as an image. I think the only thing here would be to crop the image. I'm thinking just because there's too much space at the bottom, something about there may work best. I think adding a little bit of fill light to make it pop a little more. And there we go. As we discussed in class, although this would normally be an issue, I think because this is so clever and there's so much going on, this actually kind of works into the image being in the middle, almost like a horizon. So it's less of a problem. I think the whole thing is just very clever and very good. This was quite interesting. I'm not quite sure. When we showed this on the screen, this particular image was like this, which I think is the way it should be because of the way Paris is there and the Melbourne, Australia writing. Again, a very clever image. Love the story that it's telling. I think there's a bit of space that needs to be cropped out over here. The towels are just too big in this particular case. So if we just, grab and pull across to about there, apply that. I think that's now a much tighter image. I think a little bit of fill light to try and fill in the lighter areas down here. And I think we've got a great image there now. Again, I love the story, the tennis story, and there was a student on a previous course who'd done something with tennis as well, and this kind of goes along with that. Great idea. Again, back to gardening. Again, we're looking at something, it's a little bit dull. I'm liking the story that we've got here, although there is a little bit of space, and I think things could have been pulled in a little bit tighter to make it. And adding a little bit of fill light, you can see there's some orange going on here, so we know that there is some tungsten light. So we might want to pull the colour temperature down a little bit, maybe not. It's interesting, as soon as I touch the colour temperature, it alters it. And it's coming up with a sort of nasty yellow and blue. I don't think that's going to work at all, so we'll ignore that. So yeah, we'll leave it at that. Again, I like the positioning of everything. I think because of the unusual nature of this might have been better to have as maybe a centerpiece, because there is nothing really in the center. Although we had an interesting discussion about this book that's up in the top right hand corner. Anyway, it was a lovely image, and this is almost the season of gardening which is upon us. So great images from Joyce there. Syra sent us these 5 images. This one we all agreed was superb. I'm just going to add a little bit of fill light here. I might have been tempted to have these in almost like an arc around the side and towards the top of this particular dress. I'd also be tempted to crop this a little bit as well. Oops. To about there. I think having over here there's just too much dress, and you know that this is a dress. We can crop it a little bit, and the space is just about right there, I think. Yeah. So we'll crop that. Super. Next image. Again, love this. A little bit dark. Just add a little bit of light to it, and to make all the items stand out. That's super. Again, it's one of the things I suggested in class was you could have had almost like an explosion style, so everything is like it's all coming out of the handbag. But again, that would be down to yourself to decide that. This was incredibly clever, very ambitious as well. But again, I wonder if a crop might help this. We didn't really talk about editing in class, but I'm now wondering if something like this may help the image. If we crop that like so, I think that could work really well. We've now got an interesting triangle going on in the background on the edge and the border, and also we've got rid of this unsightly black area which was it's a different colour black to the rest of the background, so it stands out a little bit. So we just redo that crop. Yeah, I think that works a little bit better, and this is now on a 1/3 as well, so I think that helps. This is incredibly clever. I do like this sort of level of ingenuity. Again, similar theme going on here with the egg and spoon race, and again I'd be tempted to crop this to get rid of a little bit of space down this side and a little bit of space on the top. So if we crop, I'm tempted to crop from about there. I'm not too worried about Marge's hair there, because we can see there's some shadow detail there. I think that works. Being a lot tighter has really helped that particular image. I think moving the finish sign that we have here back a little bit would help. But that's great. And finally, we just have some great egg images lit by a mobile phone, which has created some extra light on this side. The black is interesting, it's just very subtle, works nicely, and we have the orange tungsten light on this side. Again, it's the power of 3. We've got 3 items here, which is great. Okay, on to Donna's images. Donna provided some fabulous images here. I really love this. I love the shade and the shadow of these particular doll. I like the juxtaposition, well, I suppose the similarity between the face, the faceless doll and the faceless egg. Might need a little bit of fill light just to pull it up a little bit, but nothing much. With this one, again, I like in these faceless dolls, and there is a religious theme here as well with the cup and the angels. But I'd be tempted to, well, first of all, want to straighten this image, because if you look at the background, this line in the back isn't straight, so we'll move that over to the right, so that's then straight. Apply. Going to add a little bit of fill light to brighten it a little bit. What I'm feeling lucky does. No, I'm not keen on that. I've got that little bit of fill light there, and that's really made that jump out now. I think that's a great image. Would I get rid of these corners now, having straightened it? I think it's worth trying. We'll go for this manual crop again. Oops. I think that's a great image now. It's much closer. Might have been tempted to tip the camera down more so we got more of the reflection, but we did crop some of that with the straightening of the image. Okay, this was superb. Just a basic egg shot on the spoon. Well, what's great about this is that the spoon is at an angle. It's nicely lit, obviously lit by a flash. It's come out really well. This is very good, and I like the reference that you've got here to the image that we showed in class. The space needs to be cropped a little bit, so we'll go for something about here, I think. Pull it down a little bit, over to the left, there we go. Just to make it that little bit tighter. It's nicely lit as well, so there's no need to add any extra light. It's great. Again, loving the sewing thing going on here. This arc is really clever. Very, very good. The only thing is to crop this bit of excess white at the back, so we just position the cursor here and pull that down. There we go. That's really good now. Again, liking the story that's being told with these about the painting and the paints and the brushes, etc. Again, we've got a lot of space down each side, so I would be tempted with this to crop it, to give it a square crop. So if we go to here like that, back there, boom, done, perfect. So those were Donna's shots, Camille's shots. Oops, she's got 2 from Camille. This was really good. Love this to bits. I like the idea of masks anyway. It's a shame that this one's been cut off because there's so much detail in these that it's a shame that we have lost some of the detail there. I might have been tempted to have had these 2, both of them in the image, at angles. And also, but then where would you put these 2? Maybe that one could go remain there, and this one could go put in the top right hand corner. Not so sure, but it's just a shame that we've lost some of this. I love these masks. I think they're absolutely incredible. Very, very interesting. Very interesting indeed. There's nothing I would actually edit in this because the colours are so vibrant and the gold and everything really, really stands out with these. Eggscape. Very clever. Love all the drawing inside the egg as well, counting down the days till the hatching. I think a little bit of fill light might help. I wonder if I'm feeling lucky. No, it's just taking it too far, hasn't it? Undo that. Yeah, very, very clever. Love it to bits. So those were Camille's work, Chris's images. Again, I like this so much. It would have been interesting to have had 3 threes here, because we've got the 3 cards, the 3 Scrabble pieces, but we've got 5 dice. Now, would this have been better to have had just 3 dice with the numbers 1, 2, 3, or each one having 3 on them? That's an interesting thought. I do think there's a lot of space here though, so a tighter crop might work better. So if we pull this down like to there, I think that works a lot better. I like the idea of having the WEA in there as well. That's very, very clever. Revisiting an old theme with the tin can and the dolls. In class there was a discussion about the reflection on the dolls, but I actually think it makes it interesting because it helps show that there is a curvature there, and also breaks up the blackness. Again, it would be down to the individual, but I might be tempted to crop this a little bit to make it a little more even, just to get rid of some of the space on the right hand side. It depends though. If this was to be used for a editorial piece, then you would need some space here to add some writing. I still think it's ingenious. So we redo that crop. There we go. This is really good as well. As you can see here, the gold handbag really stands out. I like the camera, liking the fascinator that we've got going on here. Nice and simple. I would have been tempted to pull this a little bit further this way, move the camera up and crop it a little bit. I think it could be a little bit tighter, but that's about all. So then we'd have been able to get rid of the space down here. In fact, we could still get rid of the space by cropping it like that. There we go. It's now a much tighter image. And finally, this old camera. It's such a shame. This is either out of focus or I'm more tempted to say that it's camera blur. Let's see, the information down the right hand side shows that this was taken at a 60th of a second, so I've got a feeling that that's going to be that's going to be out of focus rather than camera blur at a 60th, which is a shame. I do like it though. I think that these old cameras are very, very photogenic. And again, it would be down to the individual. I like the idea of space here because you've got something that's looking into it, and looking into space is quite important when you're having this negative space. In fact, with these dolls, if we undo the crop, if this doll here had actually been facing this way, it would have helped with that space. But as we've got she isn't, she's got her eyes closed, that works better. But even so, this is really good, and changing this to black and white has really made a big difference. Again, try to be careful with the edging, although this is particularly difficult to achieve at times. And finally, Paris. Paris presented a set of images which were related to his I've forgotten what the name of it was now. It'll come to me when I start to go through these. Make affairs, or make stuff. workshops. That's what they are. So we've got basically children learning about programming, about electronics. Very, very worthwhile course. What I like here is you've got this line of students, and you've got this connection between the tutor and the student, and the concentration on the student, both looking at the screen here. Everybody's busy looking, doing stuff. Loving the colours here. The colours match the colours of the wires that are going to be plugged in. Again, similar to the other exercise, the other image, got a good line of students here. Concentration of the tutor and student as they're punching holes into these pieces of paper is really intense. Might have been tempted to crop this a little bit, because there is nothing going on. None of them are looking over here, and this is a bit of a distraction being so bright. So just to crop it ever so slightly. It's about there, maybe. Or maybe even a little bit further. There we go. It's about. Well, it's decided it wants to be a square, so we'll move it back. I don't know why it's being awkward like this with me today. There we go. A tighter image has made it a lot. The story is really the tutor and this child, and the creating of the holes in the pieces of paper. What you can't see, what we couldn't see on the screen very clearly yesterday when it was projected, was this woman's concentration, and which you can see when you look more closely at the image as she stares at the screen. What really works here, again, is the reflection of the make stuff against the various monitors that we've got. I might have been tempted to crop this one as well, but only slightly, just to get rid of a little bit of space there, and a little bit of space behind this lady. I think that's about right. I think that works really, really well now. Love this. Children from other minorities getting involved in electronics and trying stuff. Again, you can see the concentration in her eyes here. Might be tempted to lift the light a little bit on this, as the blacks in her headscarf are getting a little bit lost. But I love the concentration. It's almost a look of disbelief in a way as well. Again, returning to here, and again, I'd be tempted to crop a little bit off here. I don't think it's necessary. The story is here with the guy looking at the screen, and also with the reflections. The reflection's really, really good here of him. Very powerful image. So we crop from here to about there. I think that works really well now. There is less. Having that space also not having that space also means there is a connection between the eyes and the reflection as well now. Very good. Like the idea of this child looking around to see what's going on, the concentration in the screen here, the other children looking away, this chap looking in everyone's looking in different directions in this image, and I think that helps with the image as well. We talk about the gaze, and we've got lots of gazes going on here in different ways. Very clever with this child and the 3D headset that he's wearing. I'm liking the story here as well, with the child watching this child who's obviously looking at the 3D screen. I think some of this could be lost though, and I wonder whether a square crop in this particular case would work well. So if we were to pull that down, what I want to do is try and lose that chair. I think if we lose that chair, that makes for a much stronger composition now. Also, it'd be nice to see a bit more of this, so to add a little bit of fill light because of his black. The black's getting lost in the shadow, and because we've cropped in, we can actually see more of this child now as well. The concentration, the movement of the hammer, all very important here. The hammer is almost looking bent as he's really hammering down, and as Paris told us, it was quite noisy at this point. Whereas in other images I think it was important to crop the image because of wasted space. There is things going on here which are telling a story. The hammers, the pencils, the pieces of paper, the little bits which have come out as a result of the hammering. So as a consequence, I would leave all of this in because this is part of the story. The child looking at a 3D screen. Sorry, the child is looking through a headset, and this is what is being displayed on the headset. Not sure about this child's face here and whether this isn't really necessary. Having this here is interesting and it helps with the story. We could try cropping this child's face out. It's a manual crop. We could try cropping that. Yeah, I think that works quite well. Could be a little bit tidier to get rid of her hair here. I think that works nicely. And finally, another one helping to tell the story of what's going on with the image. Again, virtual reality with the headsets, etc. I think it's very, very clever, very interesting. I don't think this is quite as strong an image as this one is now, but it is telling part of a story, and all the children are obviously enamoured by this VR thing that's going on. And for them, this is the way of gaming is going to be in the future. Everyone's going to be wearing these headsets. Right, and I think that is it. So some absolutely fabulous work there from Paris, Chris, Camille, Donna, Syra, Joyce and Joe. I hope you've found this editing video useful. Any questions or comments, drop me a line and I will answer them. And I look forward to seeing next week's homework, which is about depth of field and shallow and deep depths of field. So take care and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.